Hi, I'm Tally, and welcome back to Autism 30. Today on our podcast, we are speaking to the inspiration to Miss Janet Walmsley's book, The Autistic Author and Animator, found on a prior podcast that you can find on our website, autism30.com, Miss Jenny Story. Miss Jenny Story, who has autism, was born in Yellowknife but lived the majority of her life in Vernon, British Columbia, but then moved to Vancouver to attend the prestigious Vancouver Film School and became a 2D and 3D animator. In addition to her work with animation, Jenny has always been an avid reader and writer. She wrote the book Dysnomia that was a bestseller in pre-order in April 2015 on both Amazon bestseller list and Canadian bestseller list, and still is. She just finished working on a film for Super Channel with her animation and is in the midst of writing her second novel, as Dysnomia is a trilogy that I look very much forward to reading. You may have also seen her in numerous tours and book signing promoting her book on television, radio, and various newspaper. We are so pleased to have her here with us today to share her story. Welcome, Jenny.
Hello.
Now, what was your childhood like?
It was good. My parents and my brother loved me, as did my dog Sparkles. We did a lot of family outings activity together, like going to the beach or watching the movies. I loved to swim and being at the beach. It was always my favorite, especially back home where we lived so close near the Okanagan Lake in Vernon where we could just basically walk there whenever we wanted to.
Absolutely, and Vernon's beautiful, and that beach you're talking about is really lovely.
Yeah.
Now, in what way was your childhood different to the typical child, let's say?
I guess with having autism, I felt alone at times, and it was very hard for me to make friends. I felt different, and I just found it very hard to talk to people, along with my shyness as well. So.
And I completely understand that, because I know a lot of people with autism, they do want to have friends and they do want to communicate with other people. But unfortunately, some people do have an inability to communicate what's in their head to other people, and other people might not be aware of how to communicate with them. But it doesn't mean that the desire to connect with other people is gone. It very much is there.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, did you know you had autism as a child? And who would you advise know about your diagnosis, and who would you tell?
Yes, as I got older, I knew. My mom would explain it to me along with the people who also worked around me at the time. I let certain people know, but not a lot, as I didn't want to be not accepted if I told them I was, as I wanted to make friends. I was afraid that if I told them I had autism, they wouldn't like me or wouldn't want me to be around them, and that I would be bullied for it. And that has actually happened to me a few times. So.
Now, that's really unfortunate that you were bullied. And I know you're 23 years old. Happy birthday. You just celebrated a birthday.
Thank you very much.
And I think it's great. And you really speak from experience, because at 23 years of age, we're talking about you being diagnosed in the 1990s, which was a completely different time.
Yeah.
Back then. So I can completely appreciate the fact that there was even more ignorance and lack of education about autism in the community that you lived. Mm-hmm. Now, how did autism affect you as a teen or an adult? What can you remember?
Well, as a teenager, it was frustrating sometimes with learning the academics and then trying to converse with my peers and fit in. Sometimes I kind of wish I didn't have it so that I could fit in and feel normal and that I was like everybody else and be very smart. But as growing up now, being an adult, I'm more accepted of it, as everyone has their problem and it is not a curse. As for me, it's just basically a different way to learn for me. It's just a disability, and I have to learn different ways compared to others. It's not that I didn't like myself with autism. It was just frustrating at times.
And I can completely understand that. I mean, when I taught high school, I know that a common thing for teens is they really do want to fit in with everyone else in the community, and everybody wants to be the same. And teens have a tendency to dress alike because they really want to be like their peers. And I can completely appreciate the fact that you felt different. But I also love the fact that, the fact that you're different also made you unique, which is really, truly wonderful. What are some of the challenges that you had growing up?
Still carrying on a conversation with my peers. Took me a while to how to figure out to tell time. Understanding how to, with money, like how to add or subtract, especially with giving change back. I wasn't so very good with giving change back. A very hard time with math. It wasn't my very best subject.
There's a lot of people that feel math isn't their best subject. Very true.
I saw things in black and white and on the gray area a lot of times, and I found it hard to trust people and let my guard down at times as well. So.
Well, not trusting people, I think, is actually a good, healthy thing to be like, because I know many people have been taken advantage of. So, I think that's not a bad thing. And also, you're talking about the situation of black and white. Is this similar to what my son and I went through the other morning? In the sense, when I was driving him to school, he wanted to know what several meant. And I thought, well, several? I said, well, I think it's more than one, maybe two, but wasn't three. And we got on to a 20-minute conversation in the car ride because I wasn't being specific enough for him to know what several meant, in the sense that my answer was too vague for him, which wasn't acceptable to him. Is that the type of situation you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, which means that you're very focused and determined to get right answers. And I can completely appreciate that. Now, I know this is a question that a lot of parents, including myself, have, and I've often been heard saying this. I would pay $10,000 if I could get in the head of my child for just 10 minutes so I can see the world from their eyes, so that I can know how to reach them and be more of an effective communicator with them. So could you please describe it for us parents that are really trying anything to try to see the world from their eyes? Now, I also know that I'm asking you, and I think society should be aware that if you met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, and this really is your definition. But I think interviewing a number of people and asking this question over and over again, that we can really gain a deeper understanding for people out there, and I'd really appreciate your help.
I guess to show kindness, understanding, and a listening ear, having patience and knowing that you are going to have our backs no matter what, and then being loyal and trusting. So.
Those are wonderful qualities, and I know, having met your mother, that you were really truly raised in a wonderful environment.
Yes, I definitely was.
Now, what was school like for you?
I wasn't a big fan of school at the beginning. When I got older, it did get a bit better as I really wanted to learn more, and I did make a lot more friends in high school. I also loved like my writing classes and my art classes and sewing classes, and the teachers I had were really great as well. But at times it still wasn't fun because of the bullying me, and still hard with the socializing still into converse.
And I think that's something really important to mention out there. I know here in Canada we celebrate Pink Day or Pink Shirt Day to celebrate Anti-Bullying Day. And the statistics are still horrifying when it comes to 80% of our children are bullied at school. I'm speaking about children on the spectrum. And if you really look at the large majority of people with autism, considering that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the statistics are 1 in 68 currently. So if you're thinking of that large body of a population where 80% of our population are bullied, that really is a sad state of affairs. Now, I hope with people like you mentioning it, and that we're mentioning it here, that schools and faculty and other administrators can really start taking this issue seriously, so at least we can decrease the 80%. I would love to get rid of it completely, but so that we can really inspire change to school boards, schools, and administrators to really place focus on the autism community during that day. Now, what would you like your teachers and fellow students and educational assistants to know about working with children with autism, considering what I've just said?
To be kind, supportive, listeners, and understanding, to get to know us and show they care and are there for you, to be able to ask them questions without feeling judged or stupid, to let us know that you want our education to grow, and not to pressure us in doing presentations or to be put on the spot in answering questions out loud, to be patient and make it fun for us to learn.
And I couldn't have said it any better myself. And myself as an educator, I think it's really important for other teachers out there to really hear what you've just said, in the sense that I know teachers, because of large class sizes or for whatever reason, really need to spend more attention in learning about autism, to learn about what autism is, to better educate them. Because I agree, there are some teachers that put children with autism on the spot, and they don't understand the complexity of the issues that surround autism, and then they're judging based on inaccurate information, which means that their job becomes difficult in the sense that they don't really know what they're assessing, and your experience in the school isn't as positive as it could be. What fond memories do you have of childhood?
There were so many things. I loved going to the fair every year and going on the rides. We went to Chickadee Ridge where we got to pet animals. I always loved to pet the deers and the potbelly berry pigs. They were so cute.
Oh, that's lovely.
I loved drawing, watching movies, writing, and playing video games. I loved our family vacations, which included going to Disneyland, Universal Studios, and West Edmonton Mall, to name a few. Loved being at the beaches and water slides and hanging out with friends.
That sounds like a fabulous childhood. And I know having spoken to your mother, and for people that are listening and are interested in learning about Jenny's mom, we have done a prior podcast with her, which can be found on autism30.com. And I agree. Her being the tiger mom that she is, and her positive outlook on autism really enabled you to have the life that you did. And I think it's great that you're mentioning all of these wonderful things that you did. And I think parents out there, if you feel that you can't go on vacation, and if you can't go to the beach, and you can't take your child to activities that you just mentioned because of autism, you can hear Jenny tell her story and realize that all these things really are possible for you to do. I think you just have to have the courage and the patience to be able to do so. So thank you very much for mentioning those things. Now, how did you develop your theory of mind?
I had to take the positive side of my autism and believe in myself, and as well show others that I can learn like other people and live my dreams.
Absolutely. And I know that you're sitting here and you're so positive and you're lovely. And although you say you had difficulty in communicating, that clearly isn't the case now. You speak very eloquently and beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what do you want others in society to know about people with autism? Something you've always wanted to let others know to clear up any ignorance that others may have currently that you personally want rectified?
Sure. Well, that we aren't stupid, we are intelligent and talented, and we have feelings too. Treat us like normal people, even with our special needs. We should be able to have a voice in society and use our talents. Judge us by our work and what we can do, not on what we can't do because of autism not being seen as good.
Can you speak that any louder, as I couldn't agree with you more? I think what you've said is absolutely beautiful. And I also love what Temple Grandin said once. She said the world wouldn't be the same without autism, as we wouldn't have light bulbs, we wouldn't have all of these compositions from Mozart, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the term autism, the label autism, only came into being just recently, but it doesn't mean that autism didn't exist way back when. And what you're talking about in the talent that people with autism have and what they've done for us as a society, I mean, it really is immeasurable. So what you're saying, I couldn't agree more. So if you think that people with autism are all stupid and have all this negative connotation, I really strongly suggest that you listen to Jenny, read her book, and see her wonderful talents and this is one person with autism, and think about the numerous others in society and their gifts to the world. So thank you so much for mentioning that. What would make life easier for you, however?
I guess when going for a job, try not to be so nervous or worried when I say I have autism, that feeling that they won't hire me because of it. or when going to a bank or doing other errands, to be more confident in what I am saying or doing, believing in myself, and not trying to stress out so much, not always second guessing myself when I talk with people, thinking that I have said something wrong or it won't be understood.
I think you're speaking from the whole population as well, because I go through the exact same things sometimes where I get nervous as well. But you've said it so eloquently. But you also mentioned, when you mentioned to your employers, that you have autism, because unfortunately there are some people out there that hear that word and all of those floodgates open up. And you really are a testament to the fact that not only are you employable, but you're successful and you're great at what you do. So you're an asset to the company that hires you. What do you love about having autism? And if you could get rid of your diagnosis now, would you? I know you said you would when you were a teen, but what about now?
Well, the thing that I love about having my autism is that I love that I see things differently compared to other people. I love my creative mind and imagination. Being black and white can have its advantages. Being honest, kind, and funny. Like you said, yes, maybe when I was younger, I probably would have not wanted my autism. But as an adult, I wouldn't get rid of it at all because it's who I am. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be the person who I am today without it. So.
And I think that's so important, and that's such an important message to get out there, especially to the high school students out there that do want to be the same as their peers. You, now that you're 23 years old and an adult and successful in your career, you actually attribute your autism to your success and your creativity and your gifts in your ability to learn, which I think is a really important message to get out there to other people who may be in their teens or younger that feel that I want this to go away, where now this is truly a gift for you. What do you hope for others with autism in the community?
Well, I hope that there's more help for the autistic individuals and the families. I hope nobody has to go through what I had to go through. People in society should be more positive and giving them a chance in the society and the workplace. Yeah.
What would you like to see in the future, and what societal improvements?
That there's more help for the autistic individuals and family, that nobody has to go through what I went through, and that people in society should be more positive and giving them a chance in the workplace.
Absolutely. And hopefully with books like your mother's and with books like yours that show the talent that people with autism have and the fact that more people are coming out, I think is really important as well. Now, we all know you work in animation in 2 and 3D capacity, but what sparked your interest in animation?
I always loved watching animated movies since I was a girl. I liked watching behind the scenes at the end of a show or a movie and just seeing how it was done when it all came together and just being brought to life step by step.
That sounds really interesting. What do you love about animation, and why did you choose this as your career path?
It was just really fun to do. I love drawing a lot. I love creating my characters and worlds, just bringing them coming to life and putting color in and just giving them personality. I just love that. And that's, if I had to do it, if I gotta go work, it may as well be something that I love to do, right?
Absolutely. They say if you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And you're truly living the dream, because not only are you successful in animation, you're also an author, which puts your love of words and telling stories. And I think it's a wonderful mesh of a career you've done for yourself. And not only that, you also attended the prestigious Vancouver Film School, which is a difficult one to get in. Mm-hmm. So, how was your experience in attending that?
I loved going there. It was one of the best animation schools in the world. It was nice to know I was learning from the best. I made a lot of great friends there, made me happy. I learned so many different things, from animation to storyboard, layout design, in-betweens, DIP, which is digital ink and paint on the computer. It was cool to see my finished animation short films at both the 2D and 3D animation grad, and the teachers there were really great and helpful.
Which is wonderful. It's so nice to hear of a positive educational experience. But did you have any challenges in advanced education?
trying to learn how to use certain programs like the Flash, Toon Boom, and Maya are really hard. And I guess sometimes trying to get the work done in time for deadlines because there was like so much to do and I only had so much time. And plus it was all completely new to me, where compared to at least some of my friends, they had a little bit of experience with animation. For me, it was kind of all like a baby walking for the first time.
Which is totally understandable. And I mean, in the typical world as well, I remember going to university and I think what we called those were all-nighters and cram, which basically means you worked really, really hard at it and you thought you would lose your mind, but because the work was new or whatever, but you had to cram it down. And what you're describing is really anyone's experience in advanced education. But it's so nice of you to hear the fact that you're talking about the work, not about the experience with other people, because when you get to that level of education, in my experience, you're surrounded by like-minded people as well who are very open. So I think that's also a really important thing for high school students to know, that there's joy when you get to advanced education, if you might not completely be satisfied with your experience at the secondary level. You're successful at working in the film industry and as an author. To people who are unsure about hiring someone with autism, as you mentioned prior, what would you like to tell him or her?
I would like to tell them to believe in them and give them a chance. At least try to give them something, start out small to do at first, and then give them more as time goes on. Just give them the opportunity.
And I couldn't agree more. And I know hopefully I'll have more people on my show, but there are companies that are hiring people with autism. And I know of a certain German company that made it a point to hire people with autism in the community because they felt they were originally doing a quote unquote charitable thing. However, what they've learned is that autism wasn't a charity in the sense that they often got better workers because they found that those workers with autism were better focused, better on task, and produced far more work than their typical population did. So I think what you bring out is really important, and I think the more people learn and are aware of that fact, it's not a charity. They actually said that they found it's better for business to hire people with autism, and they made it a point to do so all over the place, which I think is valid. And what you're saying, out of somebody with autism's mouth, give us a chance and we'll produce. So I think it's really, really important. What's your book, Dysnomia, about? What was your inspiration?
Okay. Well, my book is about this independent girl named Layla Jenkins who wants to prove she can do anything a guy can. And she successfully does it by being the new royal commander of her hometown. And there's this bad guy named Nylam attacking the town, but nobody knows why. So her and her friends try to go stop him, but he traps them in a buckle and drives them off a cliff. And so you think they're dead, but they're actually in this secret underground world.
That sounds really interesting. And as a feminist myself, I like the title. I think that's actually brilliant. Now, how long did it take you to write the book?
I started this kind of in high school, so it took me about 2 to 3 years.
But I think it's really impressive. You're 23 years old and you're an author of your own book. I'm 40 plus and I have no such thing. So that's fabulous. Now, what are some of the challenges you face in society and how did you overcome them?
But kind of in a way facing my fears, like trying to talk to people and trying to initiate conversations and get-togethers to feel confident in myself and what I say to people, like with friends or meeting new certain people.
And I know many people that have difficulty in meeting certain people, but in speaking with you right now, you're absolutely lovely. And the way you're communicating right now is fabulous. So you really did overcome an awful lot of what you call challenges. And I find that amazing because this really is a breeze in speaking with you.
Oh, thank you.
Do you remember any of the things that were said about you as a child, or were you sheltered from it?
Yeah, there were a few. I remember this one girl who would always say mean things to me, like saying how I basically smelled like poop, or she pushed me into a computer once, and even worse stuff that I won't mention because it's a bit too much. People would always poke me in the classrooms and make me feel uncomfortable. I would get teased a lot for liking certain things compared to others, because I liked Sonic and Watership Down, and I guess because that wasn't the cool thing, I got made fun of it for it. And I was also cyberbullied and called stupid and an idiot from a person who I thought was my friend at the time. So I did go through a lot, but I always had my mom there for me.
Which is really wonderful. I think it's really important to have a supportive home environment. And I think it's a really good reminder as well of Anti-Bullying Day. And once again, I really reiterate my point that we really need to, as a society, come together and stop bullying, not only of the autism community, but of everybody. I mean, just think of how much more pleasurable life would be for everyone. And I'm sure it would have been more pleasurable for you too. Who's your inspiration?
I was inspired by animators like Glenn King, Frank Thomas, and Ollie Johnson. They have done some really nice stuff with Disney in the animation studio, so yeah.
And I like Disney too, and I don't blame you. And finally, I would like to ask you, what would you like the world to know about autism?
I guess to let people know that I just see myself as Jenny's story, following my dreams. Don't let people hold you back and tell you what you can or can't do. Don't let them do this to you, as you can do anything you want. Just work hard, don't give up, and just keep going for the good and the bad.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to say. And this podcast and what you've just said is certainly I will play for my own son. And I think anybody out there listening, I think that's really, really important to mention. So thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us today. It was a real pleasure in having you, and I wish you much success in your animation career and you yourself as an author.
Oh, thank you. No problem. Thanks for having me.
And don't forget to go to autism30.com for information about how to order her imaginative book, Dysnomia. Sounds truly like a wonderful story.
Oh, thank you.
Once you're on our webpage, we also want to remind you to subscribe and join our mailing list and receive information about upcoming podcasts. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, don't forget to write a review and like us and join us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google+. And don't forget to send in your questions. If you want to ask myself or my parent panel questions, send us an email and we'd love to address and answer them. Once again, thank you, our wonderful global community, for joining us. This is Tally telling you to live in love.
Hey yo, I'm an autism awareness angel, making sure my wings protect the different, the strange.